Good afternoon. It's Fear Less Friday, and I am Dr. Dina Kaiser Brown, affectionately known as the Millennial Whisperer, but known to my clients as the Catalyst. And I'm here to talk to you today about fear. Why fear? Because it's like some sickening disease that begins to kill off our dreams, distort our realities, and keep us bound and stuck in a place that we no longer belong. You see, fear is very real. And anyone that tells you differently, don't believe them. But here's what I will tell you, is that fear should not have a vote in your destiny. So how do you stop allowing fear to have such an important role in your life? Fears can really take on and just bleed in to any and everything. You see, there's people who are fear of being successful, people who fear failure, people that fear, even just getting up to speak. And that one's called glossophobia. Phobias. There's a whole dictionary of phobias. There's fears of crossing a street, dromophobia. There's fear of leading by example. There's a fear of learning. Have you ever spoken to your fears? What do I mean by that? Have you ever asked your fears why? Have you ever questioned fear? Where do you come from? Why are you here? Because there is a root cause. It came from somewhere. You weren't born to be afraid. And God didn't give you a spirit of fear. So where did it come from? And that is what I mean is questioning fear. I want to talk to you today about how to begin to shift past fear and go from just surviving to thriving. Because in order to thrive, you're going to have to do something about fear. You're going to have to shift and move it over. Now, again, it's real. It's going to be there. I'm not talking about eradicating. That's why the title of this series is called Fear Less. Do not allow fear to dominate your life. And so what I'm going to ask you to do, and I'm going to give you an acronym to help you. I'm going to ask you to quit fear. Quit. Quit fear. You see, through life's experiences, through things that we can't change, our lives are impacted. And what I've come to discover in my research is that people don't fear death. They fear life. And they fear life because life has dealt them probably some blows. Death is, for some, easy. So whether they're a believer or not, or whatever their cultural religious background is, once they're gone from this earth, then they're gone. But living day to day in our situations and our circumstances, that's hard. So when you see people say, I don't fear death, I believe them. Many people fear life. And what they've been doing, myself included, is operating in a space that is a bastardized version of who they are because they fear life. Legitimately. So for instance, someone with dromophobia, with the fear of crossing streets, did they watch someone get hit by a car? So now they're afraid to cross the streets? Or when you were a child, where did it come from? Were they a child and said, don't cross the street, you're going to get hit. And that goes in our head. What we speak to ourselves and what we store in our mindset and our psyche is powerful. But guess what the good news is? That's also the power that we get to use to change our circumstances. So when I ask you to quit fear, I'm going to ask you to do 4 things. 4 things. The cue. I'm going to ask you to get quiet. When you begin to feel these sense of anxieties and just being attacked by all of this, is to blank it out and get quiet. Meditating is not just for yogis, babe. Get quiet so you can begin to question and understand and weed out and blank out and block out the extraneous noise that's causing you to be even more afraid than you normally would. So a little dose of fear can create a sense of urgency. An overdose of fear will cause you to be stagnant. But when you get quiet, you're able to begin to focus, to listen, to analyze, which leads us to the second thing, which is the you, is to understand where this comes from. Why am I afraid? Where did it come from? My mom, my aunt, my cousin Lou? Did it come from being hurt in a relationship? So now I have gamophobia and I don't want to get married or I don't want to cohabitate because I've been hurt? The same way, like I said, when you're a child and they say, go ahead, at least when I was growing up, let the person touch the fire. Because when they burn themselves one time, they're not going to touch that fire again. And that child's going to be afraid. Did you grow up with that being stored in your mindset? So that every time a situation happens that burns you, that you become afraid to move past it? What if we can learn to tackle and challenge fear, to even the fear of failure and fail forward faster and see it differently? That's all stored in our mindset. So with the cue, we begin to get quiet. With the you, we begin to understand, where does this come from? Why am I so afraid? Because who really, truly, honestly wants to be afraid? Not me. Although I am sometimes. I'll tell you a little secret. My dream, my passion, what I've seen myself doing for many, many years. The reason why I got a PhD was because I wanted to be a university professor. Now I am surrounded here in Orange County by amazing universities and know people at these amazing institutions in California and even nationally. And after my 20 years as an educator and nearly 8 years as a school principal, why have I been afraid to submit my resume, my vitae, my statement, my application to any of the schools to arrive at my dream job that I know I would be great at? You see, I've convinced myself that there's other ways to arrive at that goal. That I can arrive at that goal because I have one job: inspire, empower, and transform lives. And it didn't matter how I did that. So by coaching, by doing leadership training, by working with business and entrepreneurs and professionals and helping them reach their dreams and manifest today what they dream about so they don't have to wait for any more tomorrows, that I was doing that. But secretly, I had to begin to ask myself, why are you afraid? Is the responsibility? Is there a fear of rejection? Is it being told that, you're not I had to sit down and evaluate, why won't I make that next step to go ahead and make the next move? So I had to get quiet. I had to understand where it came from. Was it the noise that I heard people saying, you know what, you're not gonna get that job. It's so hard, it's so difficult. You haven't been publishing. You're never gonna. And why now in my life have I allowed those fears to prevail? See, these are all those understanding pieces. Because when someone told me, you're never going to be a principal, you're too young, and they never pick you on the first try. The first time I applied and did the paperwork, scored very high on the exam, was given, not given, earned an assistant principalship, and 2 years was promoted to a principal. And not only that, did I also achieve a blue ribbon status, 2012 National Blue Ribbon Principal. All of that, but yet I haven't pushed the go button on my dream job. Well, that's over. Because once I began to delve through my own mess, I began to get more clear. So I allowed the quiet time in me begin to question and understand where this comes from. Which leads me to the third thing, the I. How I began to intercept all of the energy and thoughts that were not going to get me closer to my dream. Now, this is only one aspect of my dream. I've been working on other areas of the dream, but this is the one that sits at the pit of my stomach. Aspiring professor. I'm going to even change that on my LinkedIn. So you're going to see that change come up. Because I've also been too afraid to say that out loud. And I had to ask myself why, when that's all I've wanted to do for 20 years. So by getting quiet and questioning and understanding where it comes from, intercepting that self-talk and becoming very intentional about speaking life into your dream so that you can actually pursue your purpose with passion and integrity, that's what speaking life into your life and quitting fear is like. Because once you get quiet and you question and you understand and you get intentional about what you're speaking to yourself, you're able to do the fourth thing, and that's the T. Take action. Take action. Move forward. Do something. I'm here to tell you today that fear is real. Else we wouldn't see it everywhere. There wouldn't be books, and I'm sure it's a $1 billion industry. I don't have the schematics and the data on that, but I'm sure it is. But I decided I'm not giving fear a vote anymore. I choose on this Fearless Friday to quit. To quit fear. And that's my gift to you on this Fearless Friday.